Greetings, I am Darkling and this is Ark Survival Evolved. Today we'll be building columns. Yes, that is columns. They'll be for flanking bridges, roads, landmarks, whatever you need them for. A very PvE style product, definitely not for PvP. So stick around and hopefully you'll learn something. So this is what we'll be working on today. These are the columns that I've made up so far, and I've used a few of them in previous builds. You'll probably recognize a couple of them. The diamond shaped one, I use a similar thing for the walls, which are way over in the background there. And this one here in particular I used on one of the big builds that I did that got toured by MacLeod. I really quite like the look of that particular one, so I'll do a quick run around just so you can have a nosy at what they actually look like from the different angles. The one on the end I'm particularly fond of. I actually came up with a design a little bit different than this for the roof of one of my bases, and I was quite pleased with the result. I quite like the idea of this particular piece as being like a marker for like where your base might be. So have a lighthouse out in the water and have the color, one of the torches colored to face your base. So if you're sort of looking for your entrance to your base and you've gotten turned around and you can spot that, you can obviously use the color to guide your way back to your own base. So the first things first, we're going to start on the end here, and we're going to start with the triangle crossover. Now, I've not used the triangle one before. I've used the square one, which is that one just over there. I'm very pleased with the look of how these go, and they are very, very simple. So first things first, we've got a little foundation. I should have set my hotbar up before, but here we go. All we do is place the walls like so, and straight away I'm going to have a problem, because if I try and place that in there, it won't place. So what I'll do is I'll just rip that one out and I'll replace it with just regular walls. Now this is because the large walls will only snap in one direction when it comes to triangles. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming there's a reason for it, but I'm not familiar with it myself. So what we want to do is try and get these to snap in the right place. No, it just wants to jump around a little bit. Okay. Now, I usually place two of these first, and ooh, that didn't go in. Now, if you actually look at the very edge of this, you can actually pick them up without having to dismantle anything. Now, no, it won't snap to the opposite this time. I love it when it plays some musical snap points. It's just so much fun. There we go. Now I need a torch, which I may have already forgotten. Yes, I did. I'll just spawn one of them in. Now if you're familiar with my tutorials, you'll know that I do spawn in my resources for these. I'm not here to do the grind, I'm here to teach you a few building tricks. If I wanted to grind, I'd just play online. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look roughly for the center of that, and I'm going to look from above. That looks close enough, and once I put the last piece in, hopefully it'll snap in the right place. There you go. Perfect timing, it even lit at the right time. So I love the column designs for flanking roads or entranceways, bridges. You know, you can use them in all sorts of ways. So this one here is going to be one of my favorites. We're going to place, gonna need some more of those. So we're going to place those in first. Again, I'm going to run a line of singles up, just so I can snap this in place. And from here I'm going to need some sloped walls. Okay. Now, I always say this, make sure you set up your hotbar properly, because if you have it set up properly, building gets a lot faster. I have so many different materials on me at the moment, on me before, that I kind of overloaded myself a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a glass in the front here. I use glass in a lot of these. Glass is a great way to do miracle snaps. So things that look like they shouldn't be connected that actually are just hidden connections. Now, I don't do that on a lot of things. There are certain spots where I prefer to do a physical connection. There are ways to get things to snap in funny places, but sometimes the easiest way is just the simplest way. Okay, again the torch in place. I need some more regular walls. As you can see, I've got quite a few things spawned in just from building the other ones. To be honest, I'm not sure I actually spawned those specifically. I'll just have to nip over and grab them. Okay, so now I've got some of those. I'll just add a few extra. So from here I'm going to stick one on the front. I'm going to snap some to the side. Now, because of the way these snap, you have to flip. You can't overlay the S plus ones. Whoops. So I'm going to replace that. Yeah, so you can't snap the same kind of slope wall to the same. I don't like how that sits. I think that looks a bit funny. So I'm going to replace it. Now, I do a lot of changes when I don't like things. Some things I'm happy enough to leave as is. They didn't turn out quite the way I wanted. I'll just leave them. Other things, they bother me a lot more. So as you can see, I'm just removing the sides from the glass, and hey presto, you've got yourself a nice little column. Okay, so the next one here, that's the same kind of idea. We're going to need some more large walls. Now we're doing this in the square, so it's a lot easier. So I don't need to do any small walls to snap them all together. I'm going to need one regular ceiling, which should be in my list somewhere. Hopefully. I really should have planned this out a bit more. Oh well, I'll just grab that again. Okay, so let's drop that in place. Now I'm only going to need one of these right now, but I'm going to drop it in the hotbar anyway. And I'm going to need a couple of glass walls while I'm at it, which are also in my list somewhere. Usually I just go straight past it. It's probably really easy to spot. So I'm just going to put two up. It doesn't matter what side, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put my torch in the middle. So from here I'm just going to place the slope try out the sides, preferably in a better spot than that. Like I said, these are simple designs, but sometimes simple is best, especially when you're making a lot of them. I like the idea of doing things like this and then, like I said, flanking down a road. or a path or something like that, you can really change the look of a build just by having a few nice little, I'll call them homely touches. Now you can take some of these designs and intermingle them. That would work really good. For example, the one we're going to build next, we could actually do on the roof here as well. I try not to add too many torches if I can help it, purely because the more lighting you have, the laggier things seem to get when it's got to work out shadows and things like that. So you've got to be careful not to add too many torches. I have made that mistake in the past. I will try and avoid it. So there you go, that's a copy of that one. Now this one here you could stick on the roof and it would look just as good, but I'm going to pop that into place as well. I'm going to need some more large walls. Again, we're working in the square, so we don't have to worry about the triangles not snapping. And this is just as simple as the triangle one, where you're literally just overlapping. Oh, I need some more of those. And again, free place the torch. Now, sometimes you'll take a couple of shots to actually get the torch in the right place. It is a little bit of a pain. Probably easier if I wasn't in fly mode. I think that should probably do it. Yeah, that looks close enough to me. And that did not snap in the right place. There's no way you could use these designs in PvP. Somebody would see them and go, oh, that would make a really good target. That's why I'm a PvE player. I love the building side of this game. As you can see, torch in the middle, tri-slope roofs up the top, easy as pie. So move on to the next one, and this one is a fairly simple one. Now ideally I would want to stick a wall in the middle and slope 2 tries off that to the outside. However, you cannot snap 2 tri pieces together like that. It's just a physical impossibility in the snap points. Some things you can use vanilla tricks, like swap in some vanilla parts, but none of the tries are in vanilla, so that rules that out. So I'm going to take a few of those, and I'm also going to take some just regular walls. Oh, I haven't put that in my hotbar, that's always handy. Now the last one on the end is going to be the one that will take a little bit longer than the rest, a little bit more involved. So these ones here are pretty straightforward. Once you've done a few of them, things will start to snap a lot easier. Okay, I need some more standing torches. There. Again, we're going to use the glass walls. This is pretty much the same as what we did for the one over there in the middle, second one along. We're building pretty much the same kind of idea, except it's back to back in this case. Okay. Sometimes these are actually quite hard for me to see on the screen. The colour is a little bit pale for me. I haven't got the best eyes in the world, so it probably doesn't help. Okay. Oops, must have got the top one again. And there we go, there's another one. This one here, I would probably align it so that the path was, say, along here rather than along that way. If you've got it this way, you're going to see as you walk down the path, you'll actually see more of that. Then again, it's all down to your own preference. So this one here, this one's going to be a bit more of a challenge. So I'm going to start by placing 4 regular walls on 3 sides. So I'm going to need some more of those. We're working in the try. I don't want to have to mess around with which side the large will snap to. Okay, so from here I'm going to see how seems weird. Might just take one off the top here, and I'm going to slope a piece in. Oops. Okay, that'll work, and then I'm going to grab those large walls that I could have sworn I had. Awesome. Okay, that's exactly what we need. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay, so I'm going to pull these off because I have done this wrong. I should have done it this way around. You make a mistake, just pull it apart and keep going. The beauty of S Plus is you don't have to stress. I couldn't do vanilla. The ability to pull things down and replace them is far too appealing for someone like me. Okay, so now we're going to need some ceilings. Now occasionally I will say the wrong thing when I'm actually, I might say a wall instead of a ceiling. I do make mistakes like that. So keep an eye on what I'm doing, not just what I'm saying. Feel free to ignore me if it really comes down to it. It's all about the building, not me waffling on. And I do have a habit of doing that. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill in the little gaps here. Hopefully. Now I actually find these are the ones, when you're snapping into a place like this, these are the ones that jump around a lot more. I can put these slope walls in a whole number of places and never have problems, and then when I go to try and snap it into a place like this, I have more issues than anywhere else. I actually put this a little bit close to that, but never mind. Okay, there should be one more side. Nope. Okay, so we've got the basis to work from. So from here, it's the same idea as before. We're going to use glass walls. So I'm going to need to make a bunch of those. I say make, I'm going to spawn them. Now you don't have to put them on each side for a lot of builds, but this particular one you're better off doing it on all the sides. Depending on your design, you have to allow for mistakes as well. This is actually going to be a little bit taller than that one, but you'll get the idea. I just have to make sure I'm on the right page. Now, I've got something gone wrong here. And what's happened is I've snapped that to the wrong snap point. Let's snap it to the lower one this time. I'll find out. There we go. Okay, so from here I'm just going to snap the sloped tries up into the center again, preferably. Of course it snaps in a funny place. So I'm going to change my angle and I'm going to look down along where it should snap. There we go. Sometimes the angle you look at things makes a huge difference. So do pay attention to what you're placing and where, and sometimes you'll come up with little tidbits of information that might help you. Like sometimes just attacking something from the side rather than the top or below. Okay, and one more. Oh, better pick that one up first. Jumping around a lot there. Okay, so... Whoops. I did not place where I told you to. Get up there. Now you can, like I said, vary these, come up with your own designs. In fact, I encourage you to come up with your own designs. One of the things about my tutorials is I'm not trying to show you specifically what to build. I want you to go and watch my videos and say, I could do that better, I've got a better idea than that, and take the techniques away and come up with your own stuff. That's why some of the bridge building episode, I do all sorts with bridges to give them a bit more outlook, to make them look a little bit more interesting. But I didn't with that particular video purely because I don't want to say this is how you build it. I want to show you this is how you can build it and go from there. Great. Oh, of course it's going to do that over and over again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're going to lose parts. Don't stress. Of course it's easier to not to stress when you're spawning in stuff, but okay. Some days are worse than others when it comes to snaps. Looks like I'm missing one here. Oh, near the left. Okay, and now I'm just going to bring up in the center. Okay, now for this one here I'm going to have to flip the parts. It's a shame we have to do this. You can get away with mixing vanilla parts in. It's not a worry, you can put vanilla ones in and you will find that they'll snap a lot differently. I prefer to keep things fairly pure when it comes to S+. I don't like adding too many extra things in, just because I know how all the parts react with just the S+. You start adding another, I mean, okay, vanilla is base game, but I much prefer using pure S+. If things don't place properly, it's easy to fix. Okay, so all I need to do now is put in some torches. Watch out for those glass walls. Now I'm not going to get these too perfect. A little bit of variance adds a little bit of character. And there we go. We have ourselves another line of columns. Obviously I have not lined these up very well. I was literally just running a line down each side without paying too much attention. But you get quite a nice effect from this sort of building. Again, running down the side of a road, a bridge, embedded in your walls. I love this kind of building. Adding little features like this changes a build entirely. So remember to, when you're building your builds, think outside the box, come up with some new ideas. Don't just stick with a pillar with a torch on the top. Try and make your own columns and see what you come up with. If you like the build, do remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you check out some of my other builds, some of my other building techniques, and hopefully you've learnt a few things. So take care and enjoy your building.